560theanswer.com/advertise. That's 560theanswer.com/advertise.
Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations, combines heritage and innovation in every cup. Our coffee is locally roasted, hot air roasted, and cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Whether you prefer a 12-ounce bag or a 28-ounce bag, or even the convenience of K-Cups, you'll find Papa Nicholas Coffee at your local retailer. Taste the difference that 5 generations of expertise brings. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee, because great coffee is our family tradition. Visit online at papanicholas.com. That's papanicholas.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
AM 560, The Answer. If we want to preserve our constitutional republic, we need an informed and educated citizenry. And that's what this show is all about. Find out what's really happening. It's time to stop the lies and learn the truth. This is The Real Story with your host, Jeannie Ives.
And thank you for joining me tonight. This is Jeannie Ives with The Real Story. We've got a lot to cover, as we do every Sunday night. 2 hours doesn't seem enough to just recap some of the important issues that I like to discuss and that I think my audience wants to hear about. Tonight, we're going to go very, very local. We're going to discuss some of the local state representative races that are going on and the Democrats spend in those races and what these particular candidates that are going to be on tonight are hearing from voters on the ground. What are they concerned about? What is really on their minds in blue state Illinois? Now, I know we won't probably go for Trump. That would be a very, very long shot. And in fact, the betting markets are all saying it's Trump all in. And you've got, in fact, people putting $1 million bets on that Trump wins. He certainly looks like he's going to be in the lead. So, no, we're not going to win here in Illinois in the Trump-Harris contest, but it does look, based on real clear averages, their polling that's been out, it does look that Trump is now up in the national polls. This is Sunday, October 20th poll. They have Trump up nationally over Harris by 2, which is great. They have Trump up 3 in Pennsylvania as of today. Yesterday polling, they had Trump up 3 nationally yesterday. Pennsylvania again up 3, Michigan up 3. This is Trump up 3. Wisconsin only down 1. Georgia up 2. North Carolina down 2. So I know it does go back and forth. And of course, polling isn't always accurate, but certainly he's in better shape than any Republican has been against a Democrat candidate, at least in the last few cycles. So this is really, really good news. And if you listen to other people, you read more things. I got to tell you, many people think that Trump has it in the bag right now. Now, don't everybody get excited. We still need to poll people to the voting booth. We need to get all of our neighbors, friends, relatives, anybody we can talk to go in and vote and don't miss a vote. I was up in Wisconsin walking for Trump, and we were in the battleground area of Whitewater, which is where UW Whitewater is also located. We walked with some college Republicans, and some young Republicans came up from DuPage County as well. And I got to tell you, the doors were opening up. People wanted to talk. They were open to discussing it. And when I was doing my surveys, the people that I was surveying, which were supposed to be a mixed bag, kind of some Republicans, some independents, some soft Ds. And for the most part, most of the people that I interviewed were with Trump and Hovde, and also with Brian Stiles. So we were working with the Brian Stiles team on that one. So that was good news. However, when you look at the signage that's out in Whitewater, it's definitely a battleground, definitely a mixed bag. So who knows how Wisconsin would go, but I think it's important. I think it's important that we all, since we're here in Illinois, we might as well work up there a little bit as we also look towards working with our local candidates as well and getting them across the line. But I found this interesting. This was written by Roger Kimball in the Telegraph. He said, denial is not only a river in Egypt, it is also a seductive expedient for the Democrat Party in the waning days of the 2024 presidential election. You see it everywhere in the official activities of the Democrat campaign. When blue donations are soaring, the polls still have Harris ahead. Democracy is on the line. But then he goes on to say, however, though, escaping the bluster of the denial or worrisome little puffs of pandering is always a sure sign that denial is at best half believed by the denier. This is not surprising. Denial is the reliable product of desperation. The realization, however, imperfectly acknowledged that the gig is up. The jig is up. Harris's numbers among men of all races are in the tank. The only exception is among the brittle ephebes of the media and academy. They are there with their Chardonnay, list of pronouns, and aging COVID mask to plant Harris Waltz signs on their front lawns and warn against the dangerous tyrant in waiting Donald Trump. But he said this is a minuscule, insignificant cohort, which is why the Harris Waltz campaign has been driven to desperate measures. And they are desperate, and there's no doubt about it. And what happens when you have desperation? Well, I'll tell you what, if Trump is to win, here's what Mark Halpern, longtime journalist, more on the liberal side, said about what he, with Tucker Carlson, said what he expects to happen if Trump wins. Take a listen.
Let's say Trump wins 3 weeks from today.
Mm-hmm.
What happens? The Democratic Party just, I mean, as you said, a lot of Democrats, maybe the majority, believe that Trump becoming president again is the worst thing that ever could happen. So how do they respond to that?
I say this not flippantly. I think it will be the cause of the greatest mental health crisis in the history of the country. I think tens of millions of people will question their connection to the nation, their connection to other human beings, their connection to their vision of what their future for them and their children could be like. And I think that will be require an enormous amount of access to mental health professionals. I think it'll lead to trauma in the workplace. I think there'll be some degree of
Are you being
protest.
serious?
100% serious. 100% serious. I think there'll be alcoholism. There'll be broken marriages. There'll be
What?
Yeah. They think he's the worst person possible to be president, and having won by the hand of Jim Comey and Fluke in 2016, and then performed in office for 4 years and denied who won the election last time, and January 6th, the fact that under a fair election, America chose by the rules pre-agreed to Donald Trump again, I think it will cause the biggest mental health crisis in the history of America. And I don't think it will be kind of a passing thing that by the inauguration will be fine. I think it will be sustained and unprecedented and hideous. And I don't think the country's ready for it.
Wow. And actually, I don't think he's wrong. I don't think Mark Halpern's wrong at all about that. You see, the Democrats have long planned to have this in the tank for themselves, to have this all planned that they were going to be winning forever and forever. And I'm going to have to go to a break a little bit early here to get my next guest in and give him a little bit more time. But after that guest, I do want to pick up this other article that was written in City Journal by Jacob Siegel. And if you want to go ahead and Google right now and read it yourself, it's very lengthy, but it's the plot to manage democracy. You see, the Democrats have had a plot to manage democracy. And when they don't win and Trump is the disruptor in chief, which is really what he is going to be, then all hell will break loose on the Democrat side. And I want to warn parents as well. Watch out what happens in your public schools, maybe even your private schools. I know for a fact because I talked to children, I talked to teenagers who went to high school in the western suburbs, Glenbard North, oh, by the way, I'll just name the school, I don't care. And they were confronted by teachers in their government classes that were literally hysterical and crying the day after Trump won. So beware. Okay, we're going to take a real quick break here, and I'm going to bring back my next guest, Jonathan Greenberg. You've heard from him before. He's the Chicago rabbi and a scholar on Israel. And we're going to talk to him about Sinwar getting, annihilated and the attack on Netanyahu's home. We'll be right back. This is The Real Story with Jeannie Ives.
The lineup for Freedom Summit Chicago 2024 just got bigger with the addition of Dinesh D'Souza. He joins Dr. Sebastian Gorka and economist Steve Moore, along with Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, Jeannie Ives, and many more. This event will sell out, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Willows Academy, Senior Helpers of Naperville, and by the Illinois Family Institute.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time. Everything about your product is 100%. I look forward to it. I'll put it that way. I'm 71 years old. Balance of Nature is the absolute best product. I love your product. And you guys, when I call you on the phone, you're the best. So I'm very grateful.
My husband's a retired cop, and I worked in a hospital for years. I'm going out right now because I'm getting ready to paint my fence. It's just literally amazing. And, you know, you watch the TV articles and you go, yeah. Well, at least it's 100% returnable if it doesn't work. I'm not kidding you. It is the most amazing product I've ever taken.
Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com and get this special offer by using discount code Chicago.
Cybersecurity Awareness Month is still going strong, and LifeLock has a message about phishing. The scams cyber criminals use to trick victims into allowing access to their devices so they can steal your personal information. Being aware of potential phishing scams is one way to help protect your personal information. LifeLock alerts you to more uses of your personal information and fixes identity theft issues that arise. Start protecting your identity with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com. Use my first name, Clay, as your promo code. Terms apply.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated in the best hearing aids of 2024 by USA Today, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, just $189.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 500,000 happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Hut, hut! Listen up and listen up good. If you're tired of run-of-the-mill gifts, then get on over to aviatorfuel.com. You'll find unique military-style cocktail books and barware to go with it. At aviatorfuel.com, we've got the perfect gift for any soldier, sailor, Marine, or just red-blooded American. You'll especially love our military cocktail checklists, modeled off the real Army, Navy, and Marine pilot checklists that military aviators have used for decades. These award-winning books are authentic replicas, but instead of a procedure on how to handle an engine fire, you'll find the procedure for how to make a mojito, written with military jargon throughout. So pick up a cocktail checklist from aviatorfuel.com. Invite some old friends to share war stories over cocktails. Your perfect libation is inside the cocktail checklist. And don't forget matching military-themed barware. Go to aviatorfuel.com and get ready to raise a glass to the brave men and women who serve our country. That's aviatorfuel.com.
We now return to The Real Story. Here's your host, Jeannie Ives.
And welcome back. This is The Real Story with Jeannie Ives. If you want to weigh in on the conversation, you can call us at 312-642-5600. And my very, very good and professional producer, George, will take your call and put you in the queue. But right now, we're going to turn to a little bit more of the world situation, looking at world politics, and of course, that leads us to the Mideast. And so here to join me in this conversation is Jonathan Greenberg, a longtime friend. He's also the senior fellow with the Haim Solomon Center, a news and public policy group that he co-founded in 2015, and he previously served as the senior vice president there. He's a respected voice on foreign policy and Jewish issues. Jonathan's work has been carried in the Jerusalem Post, New York Daily News, New York Post, the Washington Times, The Hill, the New York Observer, the Daily Caller, and numerous other publications. He's an ordained rabbi at Hebrew Union College in 2006 is when he got that ordination. During his rabbinic education, he lived in Jerusalem from 2001 to 2002 at the height of the Second Intifada. So he's been through some of this before. He has a master's degree in public affairs and a bachelor's degree in political science, both from Indiana University. He joins me right now. Jonathan, thank you so much for taking a little time out of your Sunday night to talk to our audience about things that are going on in Israel.
Thanks, Jamie.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate your expertise here because I know you've got family over there. Do you want to just give us maybe start with like a personal update? What does your family say about what's going on there? How are the Israeli people feeling about everything? And is there a rift between what Bibi's doing in terms of his leadership in this conflict, or are they all in with him?
Well, I think there's definitely a rift with Bibi specifically. I think that the Israeli public overwhelmingly supports the war effort, There's some differences of opinion about prioritizing the hostages over other things, and the Israelis will work that out themselves. My brother immigrated to Israel, I guess almost 40 years ago. I have a nephew and two nieces, all of whom are serving in the IDF right now. One niece is a combat soldier who was on the front lines on October 7th. I think you know this story. Her position she was actually on guard duty. Her position was overrun. She's lucky to be alive. It could have been worse than that, I guess, too. I have a nephew who's an intelligence officer who's stationed up north, who's doing cool stuff that I'm not allowed to know about with regards to Hezbollah in Lebanon. And I have another niece who's also in active duty in the IDF. So it's busy and stressful, and I worry about them, but they're doing great, and God willing, they'll continue to.
Well, Israel's defense of its own nation is really a remarkable story when you think about such a tiny slice of land is able to defend against essentially they've got three fronts going. Let's just face it. I mean, they've got the north, the south, and then they've got, of course, got anything that the Iranians throw at them as well. And they don't have like a really comfy feeling with Jordan next door either. It's not like they're an ally at all. So, I mean, they're sitting there alone and they've been able to defend themselves. How about in terms of supply lines and supplies in general? Are there shortages in Israel? Has this conflict in any way, diminished their ability to feed and arm their nation, or is everything sort of normal?
No, I think everything's normal in terms of consumer goods and things like that. It's definitely hurt the economy. You've got guys who were running high-tech companies and, who were working in different places, who are on their fourth and fifth deployment, I guess is what we would call in the U.S. They're doing another several-month deployment into Gaza, another several-month deployment into southern Lebanon. So it definitely hurt the economy, and Israel will just have to recover from that. But again, I think it's remarkable how united the population is, that they can't live like this. You can't live with an existential threat on two different borders who are willing to come in and, behead people and murder whole families and kidnap babies. And I mean, these are horrible people, and they have to be dealt with, and they can't be allowed to do it again.
Yeah. So big news, of course, is it Yahya? Sinwar is dead. I mean, the proverbial head of Hamas, the one who orchestrated the October 7th attack on innocent civilians and across the border. He's dead. I mean, it took just over a year to hunt him down, find him. You've had tens of thousands of Palestinians killed in that action because he refused to, honestly negotiate for the release of hostages and the end of the conflict by turning himself in and turning his men over. So, I mean, good riddance. I mean, it's great. And when you lose command and control like that, definitely they've got to be in somewhat disarray. But it does seem like there are other forces sort of echoing his mission. It's going to continue, but whether or not that can really happen is a huge question in my mind.
Yeah, Israel's taken out the overwhelming majority of Hamas leadership and Hezbollah leadership. I mean, they have these cards with Hamas
the
leaders
playing
on
cards.
them.
They got the playing cards.
Yeah, they've got.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, they've got. And they've gotten the overwhelming majority of them. So the Sinwar is kind of he was the mastermind of October 7th. Israel released him. I don't know if you know this, but Israel released him as part of the Gilad Shalit deal, where they released over 1,000 living convicted terrorists, including Yahya Sinwar, in exchange for one Israeli soldier who'd been kidnapped by Hamas. That's where Hamas got the idea, by the way, that kidnapping people pays off. So that's why they did it again. So he's been living in tunnels under Gaza, letting his people bear the brunt of the Israeli campaign, including innocent civilians, unfortunately. And the Israelis finally got him, which is great. He was in Rafah when they got him, which of course Kamala Harris said Israel should not go into. She had studied the maps, you see, and it was impossible for Israel to do what they wanted to do there. Israel, of course, did exactly what they wanted to do there. They destroyed Hamas command and control. They killed Yahya Sinwar. They moved the entire civilian population from Rafah up to places in the northern part of the Gaza Strip. But Kamala Harris told us that they couldn't possibly do that because she had studied the maps. So I guess she was wrong. She should probably go back and study the maps again.
Yeah. Well, no, she should probably just go back. Just like go back. She doesn't want anybody to go back. She needs to go back to California. See ya. Don't let the door hit you in the ass on your way out. Yeah. So, I mean, no, obviously, I think that actually the conflict's been pretty revealing about the Biden-Harris administration and their lack of judgment when it comes to foreign affairs. And if anything, that should hopefully increase the Jewish vote towards Donald Trump. I mean, who knows? But you certainly can't trust this administration. So the good news is, though, is the Israelis are going to defend themselves come hell or high water. So now let's look at the recent drone attack on Netanyahu's home residence. What do you expect will be the response there?
Well, I mean, Israel has already been planning to hit Iran back for the hundreds of ballistic missiles that Iran fired several weeks ago. Israel was already going to hit them back.
Yes.
Interestingly, there were some alleged Israeli plans leaked from the U.S. Some intelligence documents leaked from the U.S. that detailed what Israel's plans theoretically were. Who knows if that's really what the Israeli plans were, if that's just what they told the Biden administration, because this wasn't the first time that the Biden administration has leaked. It's been a couple of times now that the Israelis have told the Biden administration ahead of time what they were going to do, which is what allies should be able to do with each other. And the Biden administration has leaked it to the press. So this would be the third time that's happened. And who knows who leaked it? I'm sure there will be some kind of an investigation. At least hopefully Congress will investigate. Look, I think going after Netanyahu's residence in Caesarea was stupid. He wasn't home, and Mrs. Netanyahu wasn't home, and he's pretty well protected. It's not like they can't see those things coming, so he's pretty well protected. And it's just likely to, if there's half of the Israeli population likes Bibi a lot, and half of the Israeli population despises him. But hitting his house is a real good way to get everybody on the same page. So I think it was probably a pretty dumb thing to do, and of course it didn't work.
Well, and of course, to Americans who are paying attention and who aren't some part of the progressive radical left or part of the Palestinian, folks in the 6th district. Oh, by the way, they went after Sean Casten at a town hall this day. They totally disrupted his town hall, and he fled. He fled. He couldn't even stand there and take it and tell them to sit down, shut up, and let me explain my position. Oh no, they basically shouted him out of the room, which I thought was lovely, but I also thought showed its cowardice at the same time. But I mean, Netanyahu, to us, he almost looks Churchillian, and seems to have a goal and a plan. And so for us, I think it's kind of hard for us to imagine that the Israelis would be divided from somebody who's actually taking on the terrorist and doing a good job of it and being innovative about how he does it. I mean, we just love the exploding pagers. I just find that just awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty brilliant. And then, I was on Twitter the next day saying, I can't believe they're not backing it up by hitting them right now. Well, they of course knew what we didn't know, which is, we also planted explosives in your walkie-talkies, and we get them talking on walkie-talkies, and then we blow those up. So then once they realize that they can't talk on any of the devices that they have, then we have them getting to have one-on-one meetings, and the Israelis blow up the one-on-one meetings, and that's how they killed Nasrallah. So I mean, it's been a master class on how to destroy terrorist organizations. I have to say that the biggest problem that I have with the Biden-Harris administration hasn't been the leaking. It hasn't been the holding Israel back from doing stuff. It's they simply don't understand that you have to defend yourselves against these people, and that the post-World War II order, the international law, humanitarian law, rules of armed conflict, they exist for a world that doesn't work anymore. That's not the world we have anymore. Those aren't the enemies we have anymore. And we really need to, hopefully, a new administration comes in and we can really take a look with some of our Democratic allies at rewriting some of these things that keep us from defending ourselves.
Okay, and you're talking, I would say, on college campuses. You're talking about messaging to the American people about what's right, what's wrong, good versus evil, how you defend yourself in this world, on this world stage. That's, I am assuming, what you're talking about. I mean, we do need leadership in that area.
Can you imagine trying to win World War II with the people that we have on college campuses now?
No.
I mean, can you imagine what people would have made of the bombing that we did, of the military actions that we took in the South Pacific? Can you just imagine? We would have had people screaming about the poor Japanese and the poor Germans.
Yeah. No, it's absolutely amazing. Okay, well, Jonathan, we're going to leave it right there. I want to thank you so much for coming in and giving us your insight and actually your personal information about what's going on in Israel and how the Israeli people are handling this conflict. It's been going on for over a year. Really appreciate your insight. Again, it's Jonathan Greenberg. He is Chicago Senior Fellow with the Chaim Solomon Center and a news and public policy specialist. So thanks so much for joining me on The Real Story. We'll be right back with more. We're going to talk to Bob Grogan about auditing issues in the state of Illinois. Thanks for joining me.
The lineup for Freedom Summit Chicago 2024 just got bigger with the addition of Dinesh D'Souza. He joins Dr. Sebastian Gorka and economist Steve Moore, along with Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, Jeannie Ives, and many more. This event will sell out, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by JeffBuysYourHouse.com and by the Kaplan Law Firm.
News, I'm Ann Carrick. Vice President Kamala Harris celebrating her 60th birthday today. Former President Don's birthday when reminded by reporters at the drive-thru.
Oh, it is her birthday. It is true, right? Happy birthday, Kamala.
The McDonald's shift in response to claims by the vice president she worked there in college. On Fox Media Buzz, Trump responded to his debate comment about Haitians eating pets.
The big problem is that you can't put 30,000 people into a 50,000 person town or city and expect this city to even survive or do well. What they've done to Springfield, Ohio is very, very unfair.
Many Haitian migrants there are legal due to a special federal program. America is listening to Fox News.
The Pope is dead. From Focus Features comes the electrifying new film, Conclave.
We're about to choose the most famous man in the world.
Based on the international best-selling thriller.
The Pope discovered something before he died.
Ralph Fiennes, Stanley Tucci.
Ambition becomes corruption.
John Lithgow and Isabella Rossellini.
We sisters have eyes and ears.
Top critics are raving. Conclave is hands down the best picture of the year.
I had to find the truth.
Conclave, rated PG. Parental guidance suggested. Only in theaters October 25th.
What are you going to do if Kamala wins? Moving to gold now is an option. At Premier Gold, we specialize in helping those with a 401k or other types of retirement accounts convert their vulnerable paper assets into physical gold. Today, we'd like to send you a free gold election kit to help you decide if this is right for you. Call 606-800-8000. Premier Gold is not a financial advisor. Please consult with your advisor before investing. Call 606-800-8000.
Attention parents, your child may be eligible for extra food benefits this summer thanks to a new program. The Summer EBT program will provide $120 per eligible child for families to buy groceries when school is out. These benefits are in addition to free summer meals available at schools, camps, and parks. To learn more about Summer EBT and if your child qualifies, please visit WeGotYouIllinois.org. Sponsored by the Illinois Commission to End Hunger, aired in cooperation with this station and the Illinois Broadcasters Association.
Your local State Farm agent, Anthony DeGrotto, combines good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates. You can combine your home, auto, and life insurance to not only save you money, but give you the peace of mind you've been looking for. Anthony DeGrotto is your go-to agent in Chicagoland. He and his team will work for you to provide the best service you expect at the price you want. Combine your home, auto, and life insurance today. Anthony DeGrotto will help you mix and match things perfectly. His State Farm office is a top pick 2024 Daily Herald Reader's Choice Award winner. He's a proud supporter of Tunnel to Towers and like-minded as you. His State Farm agency is currently looking to add members at their Roselle office. Call Anthony at 847-895-1500 today or visit DeGrottoSF.com. That's DeGrottoSF.com. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
A large retail store just canceled a huge order leaving MyPillow with a ton of extra MyPillows. But you know what? That's their loss and your gain. For the first time ever, you'll get a standard classic MyPillow for wholesale prices, only $14.88. But it gets even better. For a limited time, they're going to offer their entire classic collection at wholesale prices. Get queen-size MyPillows for just $18.88. Upgrade to king size for only $1 more. Get the body pillows for $29.88 and multi-use MyPillows for only $9.88. So go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 to take advantage of wholesale pricing for the first time ever and receive free shipping on orders over $75. That's right. Get the standard MyPillow for only $14.88. They have never been offered this low before. They're limited quantities at this price, so the limit is going to be 10, and once they're gone, they're gone. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY to get the standard MyPillow for only $14.88, the lowest price ever.
Dennis Prager here. Join me on an unforgettable cruise to the Caribbean this November. We'll cruise to the vibrant islands of Half Moon Cay, Curacao, Bonaire, Turks and Caicos, and much more. We'll be joined by special guest Sean McDowell, and we'll both be sharing insights into current events in a way I hope energizes and challenges you. Secure your spot before space runs out by calling 855-565-5519 or book online at PragerCruise.com.
The Real Story with Jeannie Ives continues on AM 560. The Answer.
All right. Thanks for joining me on this Sunday night. If you're driving around, this is a program where we basically focus on mainly, I would say, state and local politics and policies and things that are going on in the state of Illinois. We do talk about the federal stuff as well, too, because that's interesting to everybody. And, of course, the national narrative, the national conversation does trickle down into the state and local area. And certainly with this heated election that we're in 2 weeks to go, it's important that we discuss all of it, actually, and as one relates to the other. So that's what we're doing. And I got to tell you, I think part of what we need in America is we need competency in government. And there's plenty of that lacking. And if you're a frequent, at least in Illinois, if you're a frequent listener here, you know that the Edgar County Watchdogs are the ones who continually point out the mishaps with things that are going on. But, in some cases, government just, there's I don't want to say there's too many rules necessarily. I just want to say that the rules aren't well defined, and in the state of Illinois, you have the duplicative problem that we have too much government. Anyway, I happened to be in Macomb Wednesday night to give a little talk to the Women's Republican Club that's there for that county, and after I spoke, a guy came up to me. He himself is a CPA auditor, and he said to me, "Hey, we have a problem. We have a lot of townships in the state of Illinois that are behind on their audits. And the part of the problem is that they cannot find any auditor to actually perform the audits." And so that's when I called up my expert in this area, and actually a state expert in this area, former DuPage County Auditor Bob Grogan. He is a CPA. He's a certified fraud examiner, and he's also running to take back his auditor seat from the current guy in this election coming up in 2 weeks. The current guy is a lawyer with no auditing experience, no accounting experience whatsoever. And he failed to do he failed for 3.5 years to do his state mandated audits. So that's a different type of problem than what the gentleman in McDonald County was talking to me about. And that's the fact that they just don't have auditors. So Bob Grogan joins me now. Bob, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I talk to you frequently about all sorts of stuff, but this one in particular knew was in your wheelhouse because you've been doing auditing work around the state for so long. And so what's the answer here? This literally the guy said, look, we have a number of townships that are failing to get their audits done because we don't have auditors willing to do it. What's happening?
Yeah, so it's not just townships. Your preface at the beginning that sometimes we can have too many rules or they're not clear. That's definitely can be a problem. Complexity is I think one of the number one things that faces government. But the other issue is we also have too many governments, right? So if you have a finite number of auditors, There's a couple different solutions. One of them is have fewer governments, but that's the thing in Illinois. We have more governments than any other state, and it's not just townships. It is municipalities. Everybody is struggling. So a little background.
Yes.
Back pre-COVID, a lot of your smaller governments, particularly downstate, they would have the local CPA would do his taxes at the beginning of the year, and then, off season, maybe do a couple audits. Maybe they would do the township or the little local town or something like that. And then, COVID really sort of tested everybody. And you combine that with the audit field is upping its game. God bless, right? We live in Illinois. If somebody says we've audited, you kind of want it to mean something. So the audit rules have really tightened up. There's a lot more requirements on people. If you aren't really devoted to auditing, it's kind of the industry is pushing you out of that space. You can't be a 90% tax person and a 10% audit very easily. So after COVID, one of the things that was sort of noticed around the state was those local mom and pop CPA firms just said, I'm done. It's just too much. It's too complicated. If you do governmental accounting correctly, you keep at least 2 sets of books. I mean, by rule, if you're in the regular world, you go to jail for things like that. I think that's how they got Al Capone. So you had all them exit. You obviously always have pressure on budgets. So governments don't, unless it's their friends and family, right? They don't throw money at a problem. And so it's not as if hey, I want to go into governmental auditing, I'm going to make $1 million. It's just not a space where there's really high margins for the firms to get into. So there hasn't been a bunch of people coming in and replacing those mom and pops, and they haven't changed the rules to, maybe there's other ways of getting around doing a formal audit and still get the transparency and the things that people are looking for, the accountability that having some independent people looking at it comes.
Yeah, so, I mean, a good point. I mean, I just pulled up on the Edgar County Watchdog site because they keep track of things that are going on, malfeasance that they find, things like that. And this particular article is just from actually October 18th, 2024. It says, Poplar Grove's audit of credit card expenditures. The village of Poplar Grove, Illinois, received the preliminary audit report from a forensic audit conducted on credit card expenditures between 2019 and 2023. Owen Constanza was the village president, yada, yada, yada. The findings included numerous purchases for takeout meals for employees that were not pre-approved by the board as required. Generally, the village's purchase, travel, and procurement policies did not or do not comply with state statutes, and the soliciting of donations from village vendors violates the state law. So, I mean, although not specifically mentioned in the report, alcohol was purchased for personal consumption at restaurants using village credit cards, yada, yada, yada. So, I mean, here you go. This is not a big city at all, a little town. And I don't know how big their budget is, but their general revenue budget for things like that isn't, core services like water or roads or something. It's got to be pretty small. I mean, right. You don't, I mean, and somebody just going through the check register should be able to raise a question about this in a hot minute without having a formal audit done. And I'm not saying you don't need an audit. I'm saying, though, this could be found out without an audit.
And one of the things that's really interesting, because one of the cases to be made for having fewer governments,
yes,
is that there aren't enough watchdogs, right?
Yes.
You got the Edgar County Watchdogs, you have some others, but there aren't enough watchdogs to go to every meeting, to go and actually fill out the FOIA and do those sort of things. And here's another really interesting problem, is the General Assembly throws around the word audit as if it's like a blessing from the priest, right? We're just going to say something's an audit. They have to get audited, when by no stretch of the imagination is that an audit according to the audit industry. And I'll give you an example. I get calls at least a couple times a year from, we're supposed to, the campaign accounts, the friends of, whoever, J.B. Pritzker, they are supposed to do like 20, I think it is, random audits. Somehow it seems to be more Republicans because they all seem to call me, but you're supposed to get these audits. Well, to go and check for campaign finance irregularities in your D2s or the forms you have to file is technically not like a financial audit that anybody would do, but they throw around the word audit, right? There's some lesser things with sort of lower thresholds that you can go and do, but this is the problem with the General Assembly. They just say audit, or, some people will throw around the word forensic audit with not knowing that, there aren't enough, for instance, forensic auditors in the world to forensically audit the state of Illinois. It's because it's really something that's deep and in depth. I do believe that there are lots of, here's the thing is, a financial audit too may not even look at those credit card receipts where they're buying alcohol. A financial audit is these big materiality numbers. And what I mean by materiality is, like, if you got the city of Chicago, you may very justifiably not look at anything under $100,000. Like, because you're dealing with billions of dollars, you can't look at every transaction. So they have to deal with things as far as the scope. And the junk drawer, where things you can find juicy things like buying alcohol, not following a procurement policy in a certain niche area that somebody's brother-in-law happens to work in. Like, that's actually not, you don't need auditors for that. You need smart board members who know how to ask a question.
I think that's what I was trying to get to. That was kind of what I was trying to get to. If you just have people that are paying attention. Hey, Bob, would you mind just holding on? We're going to take a quick break here, and then I want to talk about your race. Okay.
Sure.
Thank you.
Prager here. Join me on an unforgettable cruise to the Caribbean this November. Imagine 9 days basking in the sun, surrounded by the stunning beauty of a tropical paradise. We'll cruise in the vibrant islands of Half Moon Cay, Curacao, Bonaire, Aruba, and more. We'll be joined by special guest Sean McDowell, and we'll both be sharing insights into current events in a way I hope energizes and challenges you. Secure your spot before spaces run out by calling 855-565-5519 or online at pragercruise.com.
Balance of nature. Fruits and veggie supplements are packed with 31 frightfully good whole fruit and vegetable ingredients. Our blends help maintain your overall well-being. From the deep red cranberry to the rustic green cabbage, our special formula is no trick. Dare to discover the magical blends within. Open and sprinkle our fruits supplement powder into your cauldron brew, aka morning smoothie, or add our veggie supplement powder to your spooktacular concoction. Soup, we mean soup. This Halloween, treat yourself to a potion of wellness that's wickedly good with Balance of Nature.
Go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. And get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
As a local business owner, you get called every week by marketing companies. We get it. We have hundreds of satisfied customers. Here's what a satisfied client recently said.
Open enrollment is going great. We're hitting record numbers. Thank you so much for this report. It really is amazing to see how the marketing is really shaping our enrollment around the city.
If you're a local business and ready for the next step, visit surroundchicago.com right now. Our experts are ready to help you take your marketing to the next level. Visit surroundchicago.com today.
Now, more of The Real Story with your host, Jeannie Ives.
All right, welcome back. And still on the line with me is Bob Grogan. He is the former DuPage County Auditor running for that position again. Bob, just give me an idea. I believe you got the endorsement from the Daily Herald. That's good. But quite frankly, this is a question of competency. Literally, the man who's currently in that position. I mean, and I think the Daily Herald recognized that he's just not qualified. Sometimes you actually have to have special qualifications to do the job, like an auditor.
Right. I like to say, and I think you alluded to it prior to the commercials, it's really a challenge to find people who are good at what they're running for, right? I think that and you know this, Jeannie, it's not for the faint of heart to go and run for public office. And if qualified people don't run, lawyers do, for a lot of these skill positions, right? I remember somebody saying, well, Lincoln was a lawyer. I go, well, Lincoln wouldn't have run for auditor, right? Lincoln, would have he ran for Congress and things like that. And it's tough. I mean, the person that's election, I lost it by, 75 votes out of about 500,000. It was 0.02%. He came in with zero qualifications. He still to this day wouldn't be hired as an auditor if he wasn't elected as an auditor. He has done 60% less audits in his 4 years than I did in the 4 years before. And that's assuming other people are doing these audits too, right? So he doesn't even know how to manage people to do things. And then he was required to do quarterly financial reports. Took him 3.5 years to do the first one. And if he had done them earlier, maybe DuPage wouldn't have lost, as much of the $4 million that the clerk's error on the marijuana revenue cost the county. So it is, unfortunately, elections have consequences, and sometimes maybe the voters have buyer's remorse.
Well, I definitely hope so in this case, and I do believe that that race and his performance after 4 years, it really does showcase that you just can't elect anybody to some of these positions. You just absolutely can't. That actually having some reasoning skills, some competency, it really truly matters. And I actually don't understand why there's not, just like for assessors, they have to have particular training and even to stand for the election. I don't quite understand why there's not qualifications for that job of auditor that is so essential in the state of Illinois to have similar qualifications. We should run legislation that says that.
Yeah, and the for counties come in so many shapes and sizes that
right.
It's been floated, and the auditor for a downstate county is going to be different for the collar counties. But interesting enough, a couple of the collar counties have gotten rid of their elected auditor. Sometimes it's awkward. This actually came up. We had a League of Women Voters debate, and I brought up that my opponent was actually criticized for holding on and not publishing an audit on the clerk on that $4 million error. And he literally, his comment was, well, it was water over the dam. I didn't want to add to the food fight. And here's the thing is, I actually said this in front of a crowd of 50 people. I said, sometimes, you got to bring things up that are awkward. You got to bring things up that make the entire institution look bad when the institution's acting badly. And I think that my opponent wants to be liked. And I said, I work well with other people, but they actually have to be a little bit afraid of you as the auditor. They got to be, this is a true story. Every single new department head, when I was there at the county of DuPage, they were told it is better to walk into the county auditor's office and tell him something's wrong than to have him walk into yours and him tell you. So I created a culture of confession where they were throwing issues at me, and I didn't have to find them all. I still found some, but it's much easier when people are cooperative because they're a little bit afraid, because I had the gravitas to get attention. When I spoke, people were like, oh, it must be really bad.
Yeah. Well, good luck to you in that race. It's really important, DuPage voters, that you get all in with Bob Grogan and make sure. I mean, he's got absolute skill sets in that area, and so does Rich Jorgensen, who's running for coroner. He's the doctor. The other person's not. He's super qualified. And both of you are state experts in your particular areas as well, and leaders. Rich Jorgensen in the case of being a coroner, and you, who have become just kind of the institutional knowledge around the state. People look to you for leadership still, even though you're not in office, but we'll get you back in. Okay, we're going to go again to another break, and we'll be right back. I want to thank Bob Grogan for joining me tonight and adding some information about the auditing that's going around the state and the problems that we have. Appreciate you, Bob.
Thank you.
Hut, hut. Listen up and listen up good. If you're tired of run-of-the-mill gifts, then get on over to aviatorfuel.com. You'll find unique military-style cocktail books and barware to go with it. At aviatorfuel.com, we've got the perfect gift for any soldier, sailor, Marine, or just red-blooded American. You'll especially love our military cocktail checklists. modeled off the real Army, Navy, and Marine pilot checklists that military aviators have used for decades. These award-winning books are authentic replicas, but instead of a procedure on how to handle an engine fire, you'll find the procedure for how to make a mojito, written with military jargon throughout. So pick up a cocktail checklist from aviatorfuel.com. Invite some old friends to share war stories over cocktails. Your perfect libation is inside the cocktail checklist. And don't forget matching military-themed barware. Go to aviatorfuel.com and get ready to raise a glass to the brave men and women who serve our country. That's aviatorfuel.com.
Dinesh D'Souza here. Have you heard about my new movie? It's called Vindicating Trump, and it's based on my book of the same name. This book is a deep dive into the real reasons why the left and the Democrats hate Donald Trump so much. They call him a tyrannical dictator, but in reality, it's the American government's authoritarian regime that's afraid that Trump will dethrone them once again. Trump, as a charismatic leader, knows how to mobilize the people. He gets things done, and they don't like it. That's why they're doing everything they can to stop him, using lawsuits, indictments, even assassination attempts on his life. Vindicating Trump reveals Donald Trump as the one man that can stand up to the tyranny of the left. And that's precisely why we need his leadership now more than ever. Don't miss my no-holds-barred defense of Trump in Vindicating Trump. You can watch it now or buy the DVD. Go to salemnow.com. That's salemnow.com.
We now return to The Real Story. Here's your host, Jeannie Ives.
All right. Welcome back. It's The Real Story with Jeannie Ives, and we've got Greg on the line from LaGrange. Greg, welcome to the program. Thanks for joining me tonight.
Sure. How are you tonight, Jeannie?
Very good. Yes.
So here's my dilemma.
Mm-hmm.
I live in Illinois. Worse yet, I live in Cook County. And I'm a big believer that you have to vote early this year for a lot of different reasons, as I'm sure you've heard articulated by many people smarter than me. My problem is always the same problem. We need to get judges in, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They're the backstop against the bad policies that come out of the bad idea factory in Springfield. Mm-hmm.
So the problem is how do we do research on these judges? I go into every election, and the top of the ticket and a lot of the second tier races are pretty apparent to me, being a 560 guy. But when it comes to judges, you can hear bits and pieces of it. Like John Anthony, I know, covered a little bit of it this weekend, but I need research to go into this voting season much more intelligently than I have in the past.
Well, Greg, I will say this. I mean, I think we're now at that situation almost where, at least in the state of Illinois, the judges are such political animals these days. I mean, the way that the Supreme Court was decided, where literally the Democrats shifted millions of dollars, the bulk of the money that went to the two judges that were elected. Gosh, I forgot their names right now. Two female judges, though, that were elected to the Supreme Court. And you had somebody outstanding like Mike Burke just miss out on that one because the Democrat slush fund just funneled all this money into those Democrat judges. And they weren't qualified necessarily. They didn't have any stellar qualifications. And then you had like 4 out of the 7 judges recuse themselves on deciding whether or not Burke should lose his law license after he was convicted of 13 felonies and is sitting in jail right now. And they're like, we have a conflict of interest here. We can't make a decision on whether he should lose his law license. It's all political at that point. It's an absolute joke. But you absolutely do need great judges from every single level. The appellate court, of course, is your backstop over bad circuit judges. And what did the Democrats do last time? For people who don't know, what did they do? They took like the courts in DuPage, where you have to run across the entire county. They divided them into subcircuits, and then they gerrymandered those. So it's all a game to them. I would say just vote Republican at this point, and I don't trust the ISBA's rating system. That'd be the only place you could go to look. All right, that's all we got time for this half hour. We'll be right back. Don't turn the dial. It's Marty McLaughlin. He's awesome. talking to us in the 8 o'clock hour.
Security Awareness Month is still going strong, and LifeLock has a message about phishing. The scams cyber criminals use to trick victims into allowing access to their devices so they can steal your personal information. Being aware of potential phishing scams is one way to help protect your personal information. LifeLock alerts you to more uses of your personal information and fixes identity theft issues that arise. Start protecting your identity with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com. Use my first name, Clay, as your promo code. Terms apply.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated in the best hearing aids of 2024 by USA Today, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, just $189.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 500,000 happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
News, opinion, insight. This is AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app, or tell your smart speaker to play The Answer Chicago.
Making good on a unique campaign promise. I'm Ann Carrick, Fox News. Former President Trump on fries.
Outside of a McDonald's in Bucks County, Pennsylvania Sunday, chanting from supporters of Donald Trump. Inside, the former president stopped by to check out the French fry machine.
This guy's a good instructor.
And further criticized Vice President Kamala Harris for saying she once worked at one of the fast food restaurants.
She shouldn't lie about it. McDonald's confirmed 4 times now she never worked here.
Mr. Trump even worked the drive-thru for a few minutes, showing some generosity to the customers, pulling up to the window.
This is all on Trump. Oh, I'm allowed to do that, right?
The former president in Pennsylvania to host a town hall in Lancaster before attending the Pittsburgh Steelers game Sunday night. Kevin Uretsky, Fox News.
Vice President Harris previously pushing back, saying she did work at McDonald's. Harris following Trump's lead, speaking to religious groups looking to swing black religious voters in Georgia.
This is a moment that is challenging us of faith to reflect on this moment in the context of our future.
The vice president again claiming Trump is increasingly unstable and unhinged. 7 dead, more injured after a dock collapse in Georgia. Fox's Jonathan Seary in Atlanta.
The cause of this accident remains a mystery. There was no obvious collision. The weather yesterday was absolutely fine. It happened on coastal Georgia's Sapelo Island, which is only accessible by boat. People had traveled there for that cultural festival celebrating the Gullah Geechee community, descendants of Africans. Unique traditions. The Georgia Department of Natural Resources says a gangway on a ferry boat dock collapsed Saturday afternoon, sending at least 20 people into the water.
The White House is communicating with state and local officials on assistance. America's listening to Fox News.
Now, your official weather forecast.
It'll be clear overnight with low 54. Mostly sunny, very warm tomorrow. It'll feel more like late summer with high up to 83 to kick off the new week. Partly cloudy tomorrow night, low 55. Remaining warm on Tuesday with partial sunshine, high up to 73. Mild with increasing clouds Tuesday night, low 56. Cooler Wednesday with clouds, then sun, high 62. I'm Ruth O'Brien on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
The American military brings together brave men and women from across the country who have chosen to answer the call when their country needs them most. At aviatorfuel.com, we know the military because we live the military life. With books written by a Navy pilot and run by a hardworking military spouse, aviatorfuel.com is proud of our service and our country. That's why we never compromise on authenticity. Our cocktail books are modeled off the real Army, Navy, and Marine pilot checklists that military aviators have used for decades. But instead of a procedure on how to handle an engine fire, you'll find the procedure for how to make a mojito. From classic recipes to military specials like the Queen of Battle or the Afterburner, our cocktail books have something special for every veteran. So go to aviatorfuel.com and get ready to raise a glass to the brave men and women who serve our country. That's aviatorfuel.com.
Attention parents, your child may be eligible for extra food benefits this summer thanks to a new program. The Summer EBT program will provide $120 per eligible child for families to buy groceries when school is out. These benefits are in addition to free summer meals available at schools, camps, and parks. To learn more about summer EBT and if your child qualifies, please visit WeGotYouIllinois.org. Sponsored by the Illinois Commission to End Hunger, aired in cooperation with this station and the Illinois Broadcasters Association.
This is Seth Leibson for townhall.com. At the beginning of the Jewish holiday of Sukkot, the Feast of the Tabernacles, Jews all over the world celebrate the protections God gave them as they fled slavery. The beginning of that holiday this year brings news that Israel, which is centered in the land Jews fled to when they were freed from slavery, has killed the master terrorist Yahya Sinwar, the head of Hamas, the leader of the October 7th pogrom. As the Jews of yore sang praises to God for helping destroy their enemies, related in the book of Exodus, so too should we all share in the victory of a master terrorist, an abuser of civilization, a mass murderer who used children and civilians as targets of war and rape as a weapon of war, being removed from his ability to ever do that again. There are certain monsters the civilized simply cannot share the earth with. Sinwar was one, and we, the innocents, are safer and better for it. Our entire nation, left, right, and center, ought to be commending our ally in Israel. I'm Seth Leibson.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
AM 560, The Answer. The Real Story with Jeannie Ives continues on AM 560, The Answer.
And welcome. It is Sunday night. We are broadcasting from Elk Grove Village here at AM 560 Studios. My producer is George. He does a great job. George, thanks so much for all the work that you do, pulling the clips, keeping the show going, keeping me on time. Before we get to my next guest, I want to take this phone call from Daryl in Kankakee. Daryl, welcome to The Real Story. This is Jeannie Ives.
Hi there. Thank you for taking my call.
Mm-hmm.
As some of you out there know, I'm president of Outrage, a local citizens group here in Kankakee County, 28 years old this month. Here's a situation with our auditor here in Kankakee County. We had the Kankakee County Republican Party ran a 27-year-old against our auditor who has 2 master's degrees and is a Middle East war veteran. And the reason why they ran this guy and he won in the primary, because nobody votes in the primary, this young man, this will be his first full-time job when he takes office December 1st. He has no degrees in anything and no experience in finance or accounting. But what he does have is connection to the political network. And so he will not be calling them out on anything they're doing with taxpayers' money, as the current auditor was doing, which in the long run caused him to be voted out of office. And so that's the situation we're going to have. And our county's budget is close to $50 million as of the new year starting December 1st.
Well, it's a bipartisan problem then. I mean, you just have to have, that's a huge budget, and you definitely need somebody watching the money for the people there. So thanks a lot, Daryl, for raising that up. I appreciate you raising that attention. And of course, you know what? I don't know anything about these 2 gentlemen, but it does seem like there's a problem there, and maybe we should talk with the Republicans and see what they're doing.
Yes.
Okay, thanks a lot. Okay, we got to move on. Thanks a lot, Daryl, for the call. I appreciate that. Phone number here, 312-642-5600. On the line, though, should be my good friend, State Representative Marty McLaughlin. He represents the 52nd District, which is kind of the Barrington area. He's the former mayor of Barrington Hills, where he believe it or not, he cut the budget. And he did not raise property taxes. So I give him a lot of credit for those 2. Marty, thanks so much for joining me tonight.
Yeah, Jeannie, great to be with you. How are you this evening?
Yeah, I'm good. I wanted to talk to you because I know you're in a heated race. You've got some folks that are coming after you. Apparently, this particular woman who's running against you as a Democrat, she's already, I'm looking at her D2 that was just filed. It had to be filed this week. They had to be filed by October 15th. And in her filing, just this one D2, I'm not even looking to the previous one. But in this filing alone, she's had transfers in of $137,000, and she's had in-kind contributions of $328,000. So you're talking about $500,000 already being spent against you, and that's Democrat and union money.
Yeah, and Jeannie, if you look a little closer, there's money coming out of Bethesda, Maryland, think tanks from D.C. I'm obviously not a well-liked guy by the progressives, which I take pride in.
You didn't vote for tampons in the boys' bathroom?
No, I have 5 daughters.
Okay, yeah, kind of keep them out of there.
That didn't make a lot of sense to me. It's the third time now that they've run kind of an ultra-progressive woman against me. And the good news is people in the region know when I was mayor kind of what we did. And I've also worked with a bunch of local office holders and helped them get elected. So much so that last time our school board ran, and you probably know this, the governor threw a couple of $100,000 against some candidates that myself and a few others were helping in District 220. So, getting attention's a good thing, but they kind of know we're coming now, which is great because the people are energized up in this region to kind of bring us back to a time when, we follow traditions a little bit more. For the school boards, Jeannie, that, drives me crazy. I'd like to see, actual engineering and not social engineering taught for once in some of our schools.
Well, I mean, obviously this race is already over $1 million. I'm sorry, I just clicked on an A1. An A1 is something that you have to file, and if it's within 30 days of the election, you have to file an A1 for every contribution over $1,000 within 2 days. And I just pulled up her A1 that she's just recently filed, and it's like $11,685, $11,685, $11,685. Those are all mailers, I imagine. $17,913. This is all Democratic Party of Illinois, Democratic Party of Illinois, Democrat. And then there's this whopping one, the Democrats for the Illinois House. And of course, this is the Speaker of the Illinois House, Chris Welch's campaign account. $493,000 he reported giving this Maria for 52 on the 17th. 493,000 at once. I mean, and then it's 30,000, 19.5. I mean, this is like I mean, you're well over $1 million being spent against you,
I'm
Marty.
not over $1 million.
I did not know that you were. I know they're spending it against you. They're spending this.
Yeah, no, it's.
Well, like,
this isn't
you're
a
a problem. Are you a problem down there? What do you want? Fiscal
I am.
responsibility?
And I keep winning on 1/10 of the spend of my opponents over the years, mainly because my ideas are pretty traditional. They're pretty founded in kind of history and success, and the progressives. I've been, Gene, I'm down there and I'm calling out the governor back in February when his budget wasn't balanced. Mm-hmm. So that was a complete fabrication and a lie. And by the time we got to the 2:30 in the morning at the end of session, he had to institute what he called revenue increases. I call that demsplaining for taxes. And they had to put that through at 3 in the morning. And, it was myself and a few of my friends. We were able to get the governor and his team pretty nervous. And, if we had a little better coordination amongst Republicans around the state, we could probably get our messaging out better. But, I'm a huge believer in being super direct, being accurate with numbers, and then, putting it into a 2-sentence way that people can understand what we're trying to convey. That doesn't make me smart. It just that's what I want as a consumer of political information. These word salads. I mean, I'm a fan of salads, but these word salads are being tossed out there all over the place by candidates. And
it's
these,
it's just one pandering phrase after another to some constituency that they think is going to win them the day. And it's actually most people don't agree with it. It's just that it takes so much money, which is why they're spending $1 million against you, so that they can convince people. They're up on TV, they're on streaming, they're in your mailbox, they're on social media ads after ad after ad, and it's all this nice and fluffy talk. I think, though, people are waking up to it. So 2 things that I want to say. First of all, Marty, you're my type of candidate, and I tell candidates all this time. And in fact, I am a big believer that if you want to get involved in politics, start at the local level, because you learn something. You absolutely learn how things work. And how they connect with each other, from the municipality to the state to the federal government. You learn a lot working at doing things at the local level. Number 2, though, I wanted to say is, like, we need competent people. And do you think is that coming through to voters? When you go to the door right now, what are the voters telling you that they're concerned about?
Well, first of all, the voters kind of know me,
Okay.
and so the lies that have been put out there and the money spent. I mean, there's positions that I've never taken, votes I've never taken, that they're representing as part of what.
Wait a
my
minute,
track
because
record.
you voted against the budget, you voted against rape kits?
Yeah,
Are they
yeah,
using that
you know
one?
that.
Mhm, right.
Yeah, that one. I put forward a zero-sum budget. I mean, how great would it be, Jeannie, to actually, whether we were in the supermajority or the superminority, to actually talk line item by line item? Is this a good idea? Does it solve the problem intended, and what it's going to cost? If we got there, the state would actually have a great chance of starting to bring the budget back under control. But they'll never allow that to happen. So, right, if you vote against the budget, you don't have time to review, which you get at 3 in the morning. You don't know what's in it. They say you're against all of these things. I mean, the one that killed me this year, waste of money and time, was the puffball mushroom. They actually named a state mushroom that grows in the dark, feeds on compost, and is ever expanding. And I thought, my God, that's a perfect analogy for the state budget. It's exactly what that does. And it has little to no nutritional value. But things like that are frustrating to a business person like me that's down there to say, hey, let's figure out where the money's going. Let's see if it actually solves the problem you think that it is. And when it doesn't solve a problem, this is what I love, Jeannie. You've been down there. Well, we're fighting and we're working. Well, first of all, you're in a super majority. Who the hell are you fighting? I mean, who are you fighting? You guys?
They're fighting themselves.
We're going to fight for you in Springfield. I don't understand that. I mean, you guys basically get in a room and you decide where the money's going to be spent. I don't understand the fighting part of it.
Right.
But and then we're going to work on things. They never solve anything.
But if you didn't vote for the
run the
budget, you didn't get any goodies for your constituencies. You didn't get to bring home the bacon for your own district. And meanwhile, the Democrats did. The Democrats brought home millions of dollars for their own district. And Ann Stava Murray was out there on the Daily Herald Report literally bragging about, I got Downers Grove Park District new park equipment. Are you kidding me? It took state tax dollars to give wealthy Downers Grove new park equipment, and she thinks it's a good thing that she brought home the bacon on that.
The member initiative programs, right, Jeannie? The member initiative programs, those are supposed to go to all members, right? Whatever that means.
Yes, they are.
But they don't. So my question is, that's probably illegal, right? Because if you're going to use politics based upon member initiative programs, it's no different than not giving me a staff member and giving a Democrat 3. I mean, they can't do that. That's illegal. So why can they do member initiative programs only to a political party if you have a certain affiliation? So, there's a lot. The one thing I really think we need is the Republicans this session have to bring a budget, which I'm going to do. I'm going to put together, after the governor announces his budget in February, we're going to come with a Republican budget. When I say we, myself and a few other individual Republicans, if leadership wants to get on board or whatever leadership looks like then, I'm putting it forward because I'm tired of the media saying, what's the Republicans' plan?
That's a great
I'm going to do that no matter what happens, because I think that it'll again give the media something to talk about why we're different and why we'd want to change the spending priorities in Springfield.
Okay, he's Marty McLaughlin, running for Illinois State House in the 52nd District, Barrington, that kind of area up there. Marty, good luck to you in 2 weeks. I think you're going to come through, no problem. But it is funny how they're spending $1 million to take you out of office when you're one of the most common sense people down there. Really appreciate your work down there.
Thank you, Jeannie. And my opponent said I'm the most disliked guy in Springfield, and I take that as a complete compliment. So if anybody wants to help me out, reach out to Marty for FORIllinois.com. And Jeannie, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
All right. And we'll be right back with The Real Story, more on State House races.
Mike Gallagher says the numbers don't lie.
Look, Trump is gaining everywhere. They don't want to tell you that in the mainstream media. Just look at the data, doesn't lie. Statistic after statistic tells you, look at the Daily Beast today. Oh no, this is a problem. Trump is making historic gains with Hispanics. We know that Trump has historic gains with black voters.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
It's really quite extraordinary. And I'm 68 years old, and I've always been very, very active. My weight is a very good weight. I take care of my home all by myself. I have an acre of land. I'm so sold on this product, I can't tell you.
We love the Balance of Nature. Has been amazing. I keep seeing the ad for it, and I'm like, you know what? It wouldn't hurt to have more fiber. I don't know. We just feel better.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
It's been our experience that most people don't enjoy estate planning. After all, who wants to talk about who's going to get your money after you pass away? And yet, because of this reluctance to plan, loved ones can be disinherited, a disabled child can lose government benefits, and heirs may be hit with a potentially big tax bill. Don't let this happen to you. You've worked too hard. Hi, I'm Ben Barzita with Pure Shell Financial Group of Apollon and host of Chicago's Real Money Pros. Common estate planning mistakes can easily be avoided by setting up your estate plan properly. Tune in to Chicago's Real Money Pros, where we talk about important estate planning strategies that can save your heirs both time and unnecessary expenses. Visit our website at chicagosrealmoneypros.com, where you'll find upcoming workshops and other financial content. That's chicagosrealmoneypros.com. Log on today and use our Ask the Experts feature to get your questions answered.
Investment advisory services are offered by Apollon Wealth Management, LLC.
You're listening to The Real Story with your host, Jeannie Ives.
All right. Ooh, I like that music. Yes, welcome. Thank you for joining me this Sunday night. It's Jeannie Ives with The Real Story. And before I get to my next guest, very quickly, I need to preview a couple things. One, we do still have availability for our border event. We're going to keep it open. This is a really good event. You're going to enjoy it. It's at Abington Banquets on Tuesday night, this Tuesday. And it's all about the border. We've got the experts coming in, Sarah Carter, Rodney Scott, former chief of the Border Patrol. He'll be there. Really great Oktoberfest buffet is going to be served as well. It's only $40. And we do not want to sell tickets at the door, so don't make us do that. So sign up now. You can go to breakthrough-ideas.com and you can get that. Also, we are doing a breakout session at the Freedom Summit, the AM560 Freedom Summit. That's on November 2nd. And I'm doing, again, my Freedom Begins With You breakout session. And I've got 3 awesome folks coming. And one particular guy I am flying in for this event because I really think that he needs exposure about what he's done. It's retired Colonel Ron Scott, U.S. Air Force. And he is the CEO of STARS, Standing Against Racism and Radicalism in the Services. He'll be there to talk about how STARS started up basically to fight against the DEI, CRT, and the woke agenda that's in the military, not just the academies, but also just in the military in general. He and his board have done yeoman's work. They are now closely becoming obviously people across the nation know about them. They have a great website. They track everything that's going on. And we're on a mission to make sure that we stamp all of it out. I'm partnering with him with the Duty Honor Country Commission that we want to get people to get on board. So we'll talk about that. Also, I'll have Garrett Ziegler in. Of course, this is the power of one. Garrett Ziegler is the person who took the Biden laptop and published every criminal event that is detailed in that laptop, published it in a book, and he's being sued by Hunter Biden in a defamation lawsuit. Of course, he will probably win that, but he's having to go through hell to do it. Garrett lives in Effingham, Illinois with his family. He'll be here, the power of one. And we'll also have Amanda Piker as one of the founding members of the Concerned Citizens from Manteno. She shows you the power of what just a small grassroots group of individuals can do when they take on their government. And it's a fight. That is still a fight. And we're going to talk with all of them about what they need to do and what you need to do as a citizen. You can't sit back anymore. These guys, they want it all. They want to control you. And if I have time, I'm also going to talk about that article I said before. But right now I want to turn to my guest because I don't have much time with her. Her name is Tosi Ufodike, and she is running for state rep in the 51st district. And she joins me right now to talk about that race. Welcome, Tosi.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me on your show. Thank you.
Yeah. So again, this is another. We just had Marty McLaughlin on, and again, you're in a race against Nabila Syed, who is this young something. I think she still is with her parents. She was definitely kind of one of those living in her parents' basement when she got elected to the state house just 2 years ago. She worked hard to earn it, going door to door to door. But it's just amazing to me that people in the Palatine area elected somebody who probably hasn't paid a property tax in her entire life. And so you're in there, you're going to challenge her. How is that race going?
You know what? It's going amazing. We have a grassroots effort. We're knocking doors. I mean, everybody says she's knocked doors. We knock a lot of doors, too. I'm out there. I've knocked over 5,000 doors myself. Our team have knocked over 20,000. Our local Republicans are engaged, and we're working hard. And people are excited. Everybody's fed up. You know, prices are high. Gas is high. People see what's happening at the border. They want something different. So we're excited.
Okay, so a couple of years ago, of course, the Trump name was pretty much verboten. People didn't want to put out signs. People didn't want to talk about him at the door. Yeah. People wanted to distance themselves from them, not just in 2020, but also in 2022. But now it does feel like the tide has turned a little bit. It does feel like there's a lot more Trump signs out. It does feel like people can weigh in because actually the other side is bat crazy. You know, they just are. So how are you feeling? Do you get asked the Trump question, and how do you handle that at the door? And what are people saying?
Yeah, you know, we're knocking doors, and really people care about their pocketbooks.
Okay.
They talk about the cost of living. They talk about taxes. A lot of people are leaving the state. They think education and what's happening at parents' rights are just crazy, and they won't change. I mean, every now and then, you know, you either love Trump or you don't like Trump, so we get a mix at the doors. But I'll tell you, I've seen so many Trump signs, but a lot of times people just care about the cost of living, their health care costs. Their gas, their taxes, their grocery bills are insane. And, you know, my opponents keep saying that they want to lower taxes, and she's been in office for 2 years. They have a governor that's Democrat, Senate that's majority, House that's majority Democrat. Like, what have they been doing? So we're here. We're working hard. We're ready to help our constituents just lower their cost of living.
And how does that, I mean, is that just a reflection of taxes overall, or are property taxes more generally the issue that they're complaining about?
Property taxes and taxes overall.
Okay.
The overall tax burden is just a lot in this
Okay,
area.
do they know which party is to blame? Have they connected the dots, or is it just another name on the ballot and I'm just voting Democrat because I really don't know who is the cause for what ails me here in the state of Illinois?
Oh, they know which party to blame. It's the party that's in charge. And we make sure we educate them because, you know, a lot of times with local politics, everybody cares about the president, right? But local, all things start with local. And I heard what you were telling our state Representative Marty about just starting local. I'm an Ela Township trustee. So I've gotten the township viewpoint. And then now I'm running for state rep. And again, I'm a small business owner. You know, I pay property taxes. I feel the pinch at the grocery store, and we deserve better representation in Springfield. And right now, you know, people are out and they're talking to a lot of voters who are fed up. And so, you know, she sent out all these ads, the same playbook, you know, same thing. The rape kits, when you said rape kits earlier, I said, oh my gosh, that I hate women, just all these lies.
Right.
And, you know, voters are smarter than that. The Democrats, Pritzker just gave her another $50,000.
Okay.
Spent millions on ads. She, you know, every second it's an ad about me that are lies. And like, you know, voters are just tired of the divisive, extreme rhetoric that's coming out from her campaign.
Yeah, no, I pulled her D2 as well. And yeah, sure enough, she got, you know, about $400,000 in in-kind contributions. So that's all your ads and everything coming in. She got another $67,000 from transfer in. She has $110,000 in individual contributions, which means she's actually getting quite a bit from like her ethnic group there. Is she Pakistani or what is she?
You know, I don't I know, but
I mean, like they have a lot of the Nasser Khans. The Khans are all, you know, in for her.
Muhammad.
I mean, there's just a ton of them. But I mean, the other problem here is that you've also got like the unions are all in with her too. I mean, this is the Democrat playbook. The teachers union is the teachers union. I pay $20,000. Illinois Federations of Teachers COPE, $20,000. Why? Because she won't vote to actually give anybody's. Northwest Suburban Teachers Union, 1211, $10,000. I mean, massive amounts of money, folks. Massive amounts of money is going in from all of these unions so that you don't have school choice, so that you don't have changes to the pension rules, so that you don't actually have expectations at the local school districts. It's just very frustrating to see how the unions control the money that goes to the politicians, and then they control the politicians, and the politicians just cave. They cave down there.
Yep, and all she does is she votes the party line.
Yes.
Pritzker uses his money to buy seats. And, it's so unfortunate because our grassroots, our local Republicans, Ela Township, Vernon, Palatine, we're working so hard. And it's like they come in and they spend this money to try and buy elections. And I think the voters this time are fed up from the top of the ticket down to the local level. I think you're going to see change. And it's going to take a lot of hard work, which we're doing, talking to voters. I'm everywhere. But people, it's resonating. Republican policies are the best policies for our country. Not because of it's just low taxes, less government, small businesses need to thrive in any economy so that we provide jobs. And, they just don't get it.
Okay, hey, Tosi, that's my cue. I've only got 10 seconds to close it out because I have a hard break. I want to thank you so much for joining me tonight. And fortunately, Trump does have coattails on these issues. He is his message is resonating down to the local level. Good luck. I hope you win.
Thank you. And follow me at TosiForRep.com. Thank you.
The lineup for Freedom Summit Chicago 2024 just got bigger with the addition of Dinesh D'Souza. He joins Dr. Sebastian Gorka and economist Steve Moore, along with Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, Jeannie Ives, and many more. This event will sell out, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Aid for Women, Best Dental Group of Bartlett, and by the Michael Alfaro Radio Show.
Fox News, I'm Deborah Valentine. The Israeli military claims its mission is not over after it took out Hamas leader Sinwar. The IDF targeting Hezbollah's financial arm, which it says is funding the militant group. Fox's Trey Yingst reports from Haifa, Israel.
Israeli strikes were reported in both the Bekaa Valley, a Hezbollah stronghold, as well as the Lebanese capital of Beirut. These strikes going after a specific Hezbollah-linked banking system known as the Qard al-Hassan Bank that has a variety of branches focused in the capital of Beirut.
The U.S. investigating the apparent unauthorized release of documents on Israel's attack plans in response to Iran's missile attack October 1st. It's unclear if those plans were stolen or hacked. America's listening to Fox News.
It's Reveille. Taxpayers, beware. Rapacious school districts are coming for your home in every corner of the state. Here's my local example. The CUSD 200 Wheaton-Warrenville School Board has put a referendum on the ballot asking taxpayers to approve borrowing $151.5 million to expand and modernize 3 middle schools and fix maintenance issues that they've ignored for years. To sell the project to voters, the school district hired a professional campaign group to prepare the presentations, send mailers, and survey the district. They've been paid over $72,000 so far out of taxpayer funds. A separate ballot referendum pack has been set up too. They are sending out social media posts, texts, and have signs out. It's a full campaign, paid in part by taxpayers and partly by interested parties, likely those who will get the jobs from the referendum work. The dishonesty by the district is at an all-time high with this referendum, though. They're selling the project as modernize our middle schools and lower your taxes. They have some chutzpah because the bonds from previous referendum will finally be paid off. They are telling folks they will see a tax decrease. The truth is, the taxpayers were always going to see a tax decrease. And if they don't vote for the referendum, the median homeowner will see taxes go down 5 times more than if the referendum is approved. But if approving a massive debt issue would lower taxes, then why not make it a billion-dollar referendum? Their messaging isn't just illogical, it's a lie, and the entire school board should resign over it. As for modernizing schools, their 4th middle school is only 15 years old and needs no updating, but it has the lowest test scores of all their middle schools. Another logic test failure by the board. I'm Jeannie Ives. To learn more, listen to my radio show on Sunday from 7 to 9 p.m. and sign up for my newsletter at breakthrough-ideas.com.
This is Sean Thompson for Donley Auctions. Donley Auctions wants your stuff. They have buyers. They need your items. If you're a collector, contact them and find out the market value. If you know a collector, tell Donley about them. If they sell it, you'll get a Donley's Finder fee. Cha-ching, cash in your pocket. Randy, what are you on the hunt for now?
We need collectibles for our auction, and you need some extra cash. Not sure what you have? Call us. We know the value, and then you can make the decision. With our worldwide auction audience, we get top dollar. Here's your chance to add some additional money when you need it. 815-923-7000, 815-923-7000. Check us out at DonleyAuctions.com.
Do you have any of these? Call Donley. You know anyone that has any of these things? Call Donley and get Donley's finder's fee. Donley Auctions, 815-923-7000. Tell them Sean sent you.
Quick delivery service. What do you need delivered today?
Hi, I'm trying to work through a last-minute to-do list for my boss. Can you deliver a hard drive to the Loop in Chicago?
We can deliver that today.
Okay, can you deliver 20 boxes to a client in Rockford?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver 12 pallets of tile to our customer in Naperville?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver a large envelope to Northbrook?
We can deliver that today.
Oh my gosh, I think my water just broke. Can you...
We cannot deliver that.
Quick Delivery Service delivers your package no matter the size. More than just a messenger service, Quick Delivery Service is a messenger and trucking service that can also provide scheduled routes for your daily delivery or your air shipment. Trucks are equipped to handle the load and provide ground-level service for same-day delivery. The Quick Delivery Service team of safe, licensed professionals can provide quick door-to-door service for your special delivery. QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. We deliver that today. But we don't deliver this.
We now return to The Real Story. Here's your host, Jeannie Ives.
Well, I'll tell you who's watching. The Watchdogs. They're always watching. That'd be Kirk Allen and John Kraft, the Edgar County Watchdogs. Illinois heroes, American heroes, leaders, people that are unafraid to take on things. And after a 2-week delay, actually not delay, 2 weeks gone, he's back. Kirk Allen. Kirk Allen joins us tonight. Kirk, how you doing? Good?
Doing good. Thanks for having me on, Jeannie. Appreciate it.
No, it's always a pleasure to have you on. Okay, so you had a couple of stories that we had been wanting to get to, just didn't get to them until now. So why don't you tee them up for the audience?
Well, we've got so many. Where do we start? I think one of the most shocking recent ones is a child sexual predator case in Shelby County, where the prior state's attorney had offered the guy 20 years, and it was right at the point where he was going to have a speedy trial, and that state's attorney had resigned. A new one comes in, and she failed to amend the first 6 counts, which was part of the last discussion in court.
Mm-hmm.
And she did a plea deal to where on 33 counts, most of them felonies, everything from grooming to everything child porn related you can imagine. And the maximum sentence for each one of those counts is 5 years, but they all run concurrent. They're not consecutive. And had she charged or amended the charges under a different provision as suggested, he would probably have gotten 30 plus, but he was offered 20 in a plea deal. Well, this guy will be out in 1.9 years.
Okay, and what has been the public response to that, especially the victim and the victim's family?
Well, the best we can tell, and we only know because of a few sources over there, it's a child, so a lot of folks are speculating, but a few close to this case are livid with the state's attorney. They can't believe that this guy has, got off so easy. But he had 201 days in jail, so he gets that time served. And with the, day for day credit in our system, He won't even serve 2 years in jail for these heinous crimes that he committed. But this whole thing with this new state's attorney is even worse than we ever thought possible. Well, in my FOIA request, when I asked for all the charging documents relating to this and the police reports, she chose not to give me police reports, but she gave me the charging documents.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, she didn't redact a single thing, which means I now have the child's date of birth. I shouldn't have that. That's confidential information. It's not hard to find out who was born on a certain day. She released signatures of 2 judges. She released signatures of the circuit clerk, the sheriff, the undersheriff, the former state's attorney, an assistant state's attorney, and several other people, even the public defender. You take those signatures and you look at all these documents that I was provided that are public records.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how easy it would be to forge records and put judges' signatures on them? This woman has no clue. Yeah, she has no clue on what she's doing when it comes to FOIA. So far, she hasn't redacted squat on any FOIAs. And we have to go back in there and clean that up because we don't publish that kind of information. We make sure we take every step possible to not release stuff that's going to harm somebody.
So what
signatures especially.
What do you think happened, though, with the fact that the previous state's attorney, who did resign midterm, okay, he had another job that he was doing, and he was traveling to do it, no problem. You don't have to be a state's attorney and live in the actual county. And he didn't. He lived far away. So he said, I'm not going to run for this job again. I'm going to leave. So he leaves, but he had this case entirely sort of settled out for the most part. She just had to continue on.
Yeah.
Why would she change it so suddenly and so drastically from what he had already had the guy plea to?
Because she is a family law practitioner, had 4 years of experience, 4.5 years at the time she took office, as I understand it. She has never been a criminal prosecutor. She's never been a criminal defender. And now she's going to get thrust into a trial for a 33 felony count, or almost all felony count trial. She wasn't prepared to go to trial. The murder trial that was up, that got put in her lap because of Rob's resignation, she had the former from Moultrie County, the assistant state's attorney from Moultrie County, handled that case for her. And on the day the trial was supposed to start, or the day before, she cut a plea deal with him.
On a murder trial.
And the guy shot his girlfriend, pregnant with his child, shot her in the face, and it's disclosed in the 911 call. And she didn't go to trial. She copped a plea deal with him.
What'd he get? 2 years?
She's not. I'd have to go back and look. He got, I want to say it was 20 years, but I'd have to go back and look. I don't recall. His name was Devin Barger, and we wrote about it. Off the top of my head, I can't remember how many years.
I was just curious. Well, I mean, so again, here we go. We talked to Bob Grogan about auditing competency. Now you have problems in the state's attorney's offices, or at least this one.
Right.
At least this one, rather.
He got 29 years.
Okay.
So with his time served and time, he'll get 1 for 1, and I forget how many. I think he'd been in that sheriff's office or in the sheriff's jail for 4 years, which raises the question: why has he been in the county lockup for 4 years? What's taken the trial so long? Rob had it all ready for trial. I mean, he was there, 12 months. He moved everything, moved the ball completely down the court to go to trial. And then he resigned, and the attorney that was handling it with him was going to take the case because the state's attorney couldn't handle it. He hired the other attorney to take that on, and then copped a plea at the last minute. And then locally, they all blamed the Moultrie County assistant who was handling the case for copping a plea. She doesn't have the authority to do that. That's the state's attorney. The gal is out of her league. She has no business as a state's attorney, in our opinion.
Okay, so you have you teed up for me 2 other Shelby County stories. Pick one that you like.
Well, the rules for me, not for thee.
Okay, you like that one.
They have some new rules the Supreme Court put in. You've got to put all your credentials and your address and your email and phone number and contact information on any court filing. Okay. And I think the email address was the new one that started in September. Fairly new rule. It's ministerial. It doesn't hurt a case. They usually fix it on the site when you don't do it right. Well, Rob Hanlon was representing as a private attorney. In that case, he filed a motion to intervene, and they kicked his case out. They said, nope, you didn't follow the rules, and told him what rule it was. Normally, you just fix it. Well, the clerk didn't even notify him that she rejected it. They waited until the judge is standing there doing his thing. Well, isn't it special? The state's attorney, the same woman who's on the other side of this case, her filing violated the same rule. They didn't kick hers out. She didn't have her email address on there. We are witnessing the absolute hometown operation of the Fourth Circuit. It's in full swing. Politics like we've never seen. Rules for one, but not the other. How do they do
obvious.
that? How do they go home at? Oh, this one is glaring. I mean, it's shocking, and it should scare everybody.
And the judge just let that happen? He didn't say anything?
Yes.
He just let it happen. Judge Brian Keebler? Is this Judge Brian Keebler?
Yep, Brian Kibler, the same one that we busted out in Effingham when he was a state's attorney, and his county board hired a private attorney. Well, the law says you can't do that, not with public funds. He encouraged it, and in court even tried to defend it, and the judge smacked him down and said, no, you can't do it. Well, now he's a judge, and he sat on the same case, and they're trying to appoint counsel for the Shelby County Board. Been 2 court hearings, and they still don't have legal counsel. And the judge says, well, you can't have private attorneys handling, cases for county board. Well, no kidding, Brian. We busted you out on it. And when
he probably learned that rule from you. He probably learned the rule from you. He probably didn't even know the rule.
Well, when we busted that out, and the courts busted it out, I would say we exposed it publicly, but at the meetings we were talking about it, and we found a court case where the judge had, basically punked him out. In that situation, he sent several emails to us, threatening emails. I'm going to sue you for defamation. I'm going to do this. I'm going to subpoena everything you got. I mean, he was rambling, 20-some emails.
Probably drunk.
And then we got the apology email. I'm so sorry. It was so unprofessional. I shouldn't have done that. Yeah, it was unprofessional. And maybe it's time we start publishing all of the stuff that these people are doing. There's just too much to cover. There's not enough time in the day.
Screw up and move up. Hey, we're going to take a break. We'll be back with John. He's got a story to share as well. You're listening to The Real Story with Jeannie Ives. We'll be right back. Don't turn the dial.
Life takes a toll on our bodies. No way around it. Whether it's sitting hours on end at your computer or working a physical job, over time your body pays the price. There is, however, an effective way to turn back the clock on pain, Relief Factor. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor helps support your body's response to inflammation. The difference? Instead of masking pain, Relief Factor helps eliminate it for good. And it's 100% drug-free. If the pains that come with living a full life are affecting you, do as so many others have. Turn back the clock on pain with Relief Factor. Their 3-week quick start is just $19.95, less than $1 a day. When you feel good, it's amazing how much more you get out of life. So visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4RELIEF. Try it for only $19.95. While we can't stop aging, not yet, we can stop pain. Turn back the clock with Relief Factor.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
61 years old. I'm doing my first bodybuilding show. I'm going to go straight to a national event. Well, I was a power lifter all my life, and I'm just lucky a year ago met Mr. Michigan and Mr. Olympia, and they asked me what I was doing, and next thing you know, I'm 4 weeks away from my first on-stage show. I've been taking the Balance of Nature for a long time. It's been incredible.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
I'm worried about Mom. She's having a tough time moving around the house.
Oh, I know. She still thinks she can do everything on her own.
Exactly, but I've been over there every day this week, helping her navigate the stairs, cooking meals, reminding her to take her medicine. I'm always nervous when I leave.
You know what? I admire you for taking care of Mom. But your family needs you too. And what if she slips and falls? A friend recommended the caregivers at Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. They service Cook, DuPage, Kane, and Will counties. They guarantee compatibility and they'll conduct a free safety assessment of her home. Plus, they'll provide as little or as much care as Mom needs.
Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest, offering both hourly and live-in care. Schedule a free assessment today by calling 331-281-0728. That's 331-281-0728. Again, that's 331-281-0728. And tell them AM 560 sent you. Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. Senior care, only better.
You're listening to The Real Story with your host, Jeannie Ives.
All right, welcome back. That's the Watchdog music. And I believe we have John Kraft with us now. John, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so you teed up a story of America's favorite mayor, the embattled Dalton mayor, Tiffany Henyard. And shock of all shockers, she's running for re-election. She announced her re-election bid on social media, according to the CBS News, despite frequently clashing with the majority of her Dalton Village Board trustees and also residents. But yeah, she apparently sees no problem with running for re-election. I just can't even believe this. How tone deaf can you be?
I can't believe she's not in handcuffs yet. But
there you go. That's exactly
right.
right.
We can only hope for that day to come. So.
Yes. So what were you going to tell us, though? You had a story about this, which I find it's just shocking, but go ahead.
Yeah, so since the trustees call a special meeting, and they've been doing this once a month for several months, and they have the special meeting at the Dalton Park District, they invite all the trustees and even the mayor, because it's a board of trustees meeting, so the mayor can be there. She had a meeting the same night and time as this meeting at the Park District last week, I think, and she sat there with one or two of her trustees, and the media and complained because nobody was there. So after that meeting, she went to the Park District to sit there and to stand up in front of everybody and announced that she was the mayor of Dalton and the first female mayor of Dalton, and then announced that she is appointing the attorney and I don't know if it was attorney and police chief and somebody else, and then she left. Then she sued them. She sued the trustees, the majority of the trustees. I think she named the clerk. She named the Park District. She's suing the Park District to get a judge to tell them to not allow the trustees to hold a meeting there. I mean, just crazy stuff that will never happen. No judge is going to tell the trustees not to hold a meeting at the Park District. The Attorney General issued a binding opinion against Dalton a month or two ago that told her and the village they had to find a larger place to have meetings, because she would hold meetings in that small room no matter how many people were standing outside waiting.
Right.
She would block the streets block them off, or close them for blocks around the village hall, put up barricades where you couldn't park anywhere, have excessive police there, and create a general hostile environment. And if you watch the village hall meeting, the village board meetings at the village hall, that's all it is. It's hostile from the second people get in till when it's over. If you watch the ones at the Park District, it's a normal meeting where everybody gets along, and no matter who's there, they say their piece and they get work done. And obviously she can't handle that.
So she files this lawsuit against her own trustees. And do you think that Are the residents still fired up? Are they still showing up, or are they just exhausted by it all and, turning to other things? They are showing up.
They're still showing it. Yeah,
Okay.
they're not exhausted.
Okay, that's good. That's very good, because it's easy to get exhausted by all this drama. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it has taken her a long time, I believe, to collect signatures, unless she's got several thousand of them, which I highly doubt.
Right.
But it's, and on top of that, she's getting evicted from the house she's renting from a resident in Dalton.
Yeah, she's a hot
Her-
mess. She just continues.
Her and her
to be.
boyfriend that works for her is getting evicted. So.
Jeez. What a mess. Hey, you know what? I'm going to turn to something different quick, because I had Bob Grogan on, who is one of the best auditors when it comes to government auditing in the state of Illinois. And, part of the problem we're finding out, apparently, small townships can't find people to audit their books because just nobody will do it for the price that would make it affordable for them to do it. And I was like, well, this is something that the Illinois, the Edgar County Watchdogs would absolutely rake people over the coal if you hadn't done your audits on time. I think there's more to it. I think there's a lot of things to do it. But in doing so, one of the things I brought up was this Poplar Grove's audit of credit card expenditures. I know that you brought that up. Now, some of this auditing doesn't actually be done by a formal auditor. Don't you think that just any sort of board member, especially if it's a smaller municipality, can look through it and say, well, that doesn't make sense? You can do a quick search.
Yeah, yes, they can. However, what we've been finding is that the people that that want accountability are not afforded all the records so they can make that decision or that opinion. They won't, they just won't give them the records. I mean, they did it down here in Marshall, Illinois. I mean, they do it in Dalton and Thornton Township, in Harvey. They won't give the public or even their own trustees the financial records to form an opinion.
That's the problem. That's actually the problem there. Yep.
And until I think there should be criminal consequences for not providing all the records to the elected officials of that public body, but nobody's willing to do that. I mean,
yes, if you're an elected official, you should be able to see any document you want. Period.
Exactly.
Full stop. Period.
Exactly. We're not talking about national secrets here. It's finances of a local government.
Exactly. No, I 100% agree with you. Okay, that's all we have time for tonight with the Edgar County Watchdogs. We're going to take a short break. I'll be right back to close up the show. One other document that I just want to alert you to, a story that I want everybody to read. Okay, so we'll be right back. This is The Real Story with Jeannie Ives.
Attention parents, your child may be eligible for extra food benefits this summer thanks to a new program. The Summer EBT program will provide $120 per eligible child for families to buy groceries when school is out. These benefits are in addition to free summer meals available at schools, camps, and parks. To learn more about Summer EBT and if your child qualifies, please visit WeGotYouIllinois.org. Sponsored by the Illinois Commission to End Hunger, aired in cooperation with this station and the Illinois Broadcasters Association.
If you own or run a business and you listen to AM 560, you might not realize that the conservative programming that you enjoy is supported by advertisers. Our loyal listeners love to do business with the advertisers they hear every day on AM 560. Now, it probably won't surprise you that there are some businesses who avoid advertising with us because they don't like what we do here. And that's okay, because our audience wants to support businesses that support what we do and think like we think. We would love to have you join the list of successful companies who are already reaching new, like-minded customers. Most AM 560 advertisers have been here for years for one simple reason: they get results. Join our efforts to make a difference in the lives of our listeners who are passionate about supporting our great family of AM 560 advertisers. To learn more, just visit 560theanswer.com/advertise. That's 560theanswer.com/advertise.
Hi, this is Carl Amari.
I'm Lisa Wolf. Join us every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. for all things entertainment on Hollywood 360.
If you love classic radio shows, The Shadow, Jack Benny, The Lone Ranger, Dragnet, Gunsmoke, and many more, We have them for you on Hollywood 360.
We'll also present trivia contests with prizes, showbiz news, celebrity interviews, games, and movie reviews.
So don't miss Hollywood 360 every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, more of The Real Story with your host, Jeannie Ives.
Okay. Well, it's been great to be with you tonight. Thanks for listening in, all my folks. So just a couple other things. Again, our border event is Tuesday. You can still get tickets at breakthrough-ideas.com. It's going to be a great time. Two things I wanted to bring out. You talk about competency. Again, I mean, maybe you've read this story or not, but there were drones literally swarming U.S. military bases, and our incompetent bureaucracy didn't do anything about this. This is an article by Kyle Scheidler. He's with The Federalist. I highly encourage you to read that one. And then again, the one from Jacob Siegel in City Journal, The Plot to Manage Democracy, must reads. Thank you for joining me.
The Pope is dead. From Focus Features comes the electrifying new film, Conclave. We're about to choose the most famous man in the world. Based on the international best-selling thriller. The Pope discovered something before he died. Ralph Fiennes, Stanley Tucci. Ambition becomes corruption. John Lithgow and Isabella Rossellini.
We sisters have eyes and ears.
Top critics are raving. Conclave is hands down the best picture of the year. I had to find the truth. Conclave, rated PG. Parental guidance suggested. Only in theaters October 25th.
What are you going to do if Kamala wins? Moving to gold now is an option. At Premier Gold, we specialize in helping those with a 401k or other types of retirement accounts convert their vulnerable paper assets into physical gold. Today, we'd like to send you a free gold election kit to help you decide if this is right for you. Call 606-800-8000. Premier Gold is not a financial advisor. Please consult with your advisor before investing. Call 606-800-8000.
This is Chicago's election station, AM 560, The Answer, WIND, Chicago. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app.